Well, Todd Chrisley has emerged from his media hiatus to appear on Kandi Burress's podcast called My Name is Kandi. Todd Chrisley told Kandi that he loves being out of prison and that he's having a lot of fun spending time with his wife, Julie Chrisley, and his daughter, Savannah. And he's hoping to never go back to prison again. Now, that's all the Chrisley news for today that I could find. My name is Riley Hamilton. I'm joined by Amy Scarlatta, and this is Turtle Time.
Did they get into why they know each other?
I had to skim through this one just because there's so much that he kind of went on a big press run. And so I was going back and forth between his late night appearances and then this podcast. So I only got to hear some huge bits from this, but they have some sort of affinity for each other. I think from their past at some point, but it was an amazing interview. Kandi's a good interviewer. And I was really interested to learn sort of how he views prison life versus his life now out of prison, just how he says it's a lot better. So I thought that was kind of notable, at least.
You sent me a clip where he's been accused of hooking up with men. There's someone that was like, yeah, we hooked up once. And he was like, that's how you know it's a lie. Because once you get the Chrisley, you come back for more.
Yes, that was one of the more, that was one of the anecdotes that Kandi sort of uncovered on her podcast. He said, it's not true. Because if someone did make love to me like that, you would know that they would have come back for more and more. So the fact that this ex-business partner only said that they made love once in the early 2000s shows how much of a lie it is. And Kandi was kind of delighted. She started beaming. It was kind of a fun exclusive for Kandi to get. So I like that. I don't think we're gonna ever have Todd on this podcast, Todd Chrisley, but maybe Kandi to sort of get her perspective about that interview.
We get Kandi Burress and we only ask about the Chrisleys.
Well, because you already named one question, which is perfect for the start of the interview. How do you know Todd,
right,
or Chrisley? And then what was it like for you to have him on your podcast? And then it would be an easier interview, I think, to frame it around Todd Chrisley for the most part.
Speaking of her, Todd, when he was on that one episode of Next Gen, I was like, I freaking love Todd. If we're gonna sprinkle some breadcrumbs for our future best husbands of history, I love Todd.
I love Todd too. Definitely, he is. If we were really thinking about it, he's definitely in my probably top 15. And then once I think really hard about house husbands, he might shoot up to the list of top 10. I love Todd too. I think he's a very fun person. They have one of the the romances of the century for me, how they discovered each other, all that they've been through, how much, how successful they've become in with each other's spirits combined. I love that about them. So yeah, you're right. Todd definitely needs to be considered. It was his birthday, I think, 3 days ago. Kandi said happy birthday to Todd on this day, which was, I guess, 3 or 4 days ago. So that was huge.
What did one of her aunties say about him? They were like, it was a scheme that Todd cooked up.
Famously, Kandi's mom and her sisters just do not think Todd is good enough for Kandi at all. I forget some of the insults there were there, but they really do not appreciate Todd at all. And I think that Todd has really shown himself and the power that he brings to the relationship. I mean, I can't even think of Todd in their eyes, of Mama Joyce and her they're called Old Lady
Gang.
Yeah. So I hope that if we ever check back in, Kandi comes back to Atlanta, that Mama Joyce and Todd, that Mama Joyce is able to sort of rein in her sort of fury towards Todd, and they respect each other a lot more.
Yeah, same.
All right. Okay. Good. I mean, I'd say that was one news story that we kind of just open and shut. Next, I saw a little, this just happened. It flew before my eyes right before I could even send it to you. So I'm just going to be telling you this cold turkey. But Salt Lake City season 6 put out a little teaser. They had to feed the frenzied fans a little bit because you've seen this online. There's a lot of clamoring. People are saying, give me Salt Lake City. I know that you all are filming. I have to have a piece of this. So Bravo said, here you go, a little bit of red meat for the fans. And they sent they pushed out to Bravo and all their social networks this 20-second clip of Salt Lake City, and it's Meredith and Mary fishing in this sort of frozen water pond. And it's kind of just a silly little snapshot of what they're doing to sort of satiate the Salt Lake City fans. Nothing really notable happens except they show Mary and Meredith having to carve those circles so that they can ice fish. And Mary doesn't want to kill the fish, I guess, but the fishing instructor says, unfortunately, some fish are going to die here. So it's kind of playing on the levity of Mary reacting to that.
Okay. That doesn't sound that exciting. Was it funny at least?
Yeah. So here's what happened. I think some of that, the levity got a little lost in translation. And it's actually very funny. Meredith says something funny. She goes, I can't believe we have to, what's that called when you cut out the ice or whatever? And then Mary's kind of humor about learning that the fish are going to be killed. It's kind of one of those things you have to watch.
You have to see to believe.
But what it led me to assume is that Salt Lake City is coming before we even know it. You and I are going to be happy as clams when we find out that in 6 weeks that's premiering. I mean, we're going to, or whatever,
It feels like it hasn't even been gone that long. Am I crazy?
No, that's what I've learned now, that from our sort of history of Turtle Time, that this 2.5 years or so, that these shows come up really quickly. And like the fact that we're already covering halfway through OC or the start of OC, that was a shock to me. So I'm no longer shocked that these seasons just keep bubbling up so quickly. But I think that no matter what, Salt Lake City will bring what's the tides that rise all ships. Salt Lake City is going to get us all very excited again, especially after last season, how good that was.
Most of them were at those Las Culturistas awards. Someone, one of our friends pointed out that I don't think Whitney was there.
Oh,
but like
my God.
Everyone else was, including Brittany.
Oh my God. What does that say? Whitney Rose is famously on the chopping block every season of Salt Lake City. She had to sit to the left of Bronwyn, and Bronwyn wore a huge, huge dress that blocked Whitney from view for the entire reunion. Was that some sort of symbolic gesture that Whitney might be getting cut and then she didn't want to appear with them? But I think she's already actually been confirmed as a cast member, so that's not true.
Yeah. I didn't watch those, but I've seen lots of clips, and it feels like they're tailor-made for me. I probably should watch them, but for some reason I was like, I don't want to watch that right now.
I think that part of it is that I don't think that you and I personally need anything more on our proverbial plate to have to discuss. And so I also saw wonderful, wonderful clips. Looks funny as hell. I mean, congrats. But I think, we'll watch that someday, of course. Probably not like recap it.
Yeah, while it's relevant. Well, we watch it in like 3 months. We're like, oh.
I've got another. Okay, this news we're kind of really ripping through, but this one you'll like this. I think. Hopefully, I hope this kind of gets you. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Wait. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is filming in the Hamptons. My mind said to me, "Hello, Hamptons. I think I know that kind of place and who I associate with that place. Is it quite possible that Beverly Hills cast members will pop into on our other Hamptons loving cast members, the Summer House crew?" And there's immediately sort of a point of contention that brings itself to my mind immediately, which is Kyle Richards and Dorit confronting Kyle for letting Mauricio and PK dance their asses off at that private DJ event that Kyle Cook was performing at. I went back and looked at the footage to see if this actually could be fodder. And in the footage, it does show that Kyle Cook gave 30 seconds dedicated to Mauricio to let him dance in front of that entire audience. And then he let PK dance for 30 seconds, freestyle dancing up on stage. So if Kyle Richards and Dorit wanted to call him out for that in sort of a, a silly way, that's kind of is a good potential conflict for that episode of Beverly Hills.
I just realized I really can't handle if we have to watch Dorit and Kyle hash it out even one more time.
I think
I'm going to slit my throat.
Yeah, I would probably I would probably be very upset. I don't, I would think I would get depressed for about, the length of the episode. But what I've already seen is that Kyle Richards is teasing the idea of her and Dorit being in good standing. She's posted multiple photos. So I think that they're going to give it the edit of, over the season, Dorit and I rebond over the off season. Dorit and I completely rekindled things, and we love each other now, and they're not going to bog us down with their fractured relationship. That's my Riley Hamilton prediction for Beverly Hills. But do you, before we blow past this news segment, do you think it might happen that Beverly Hills would sort of sync up with those Summer House cast members, or is that not probably at all? Not even, that probably wouldn't even make sense for a second, right?
Didn't they went to the Hamptons on Beverly Hills one time, maybe more than once? There was the time that Lisa invited people for that magazine party, and people didn't want to stay at the hotel that the magazine provided, so they got a house instead, and Lisa was offended. At one point, Kyle had a Kyle by Elaine 2 pop up in the Hamptons, and then they had dinner at Bethany's house where she offended Erica and called her like a whore or something.
Oh my God, yeah. So there is so much. Oh my God. So there's even more potent crossover than just whatever the hell I was suggesting. I mean, I guess I think my mind sort of went sort of untethered to reality, and I just started like sort of painting my dreams for the Beverly Hills cast. But I think all the shit that you said makes a lot of sense to me.
I saw, again, everything I see on Twitter, I'm like, this is probably fake, but I saw a thing that was like they were supposed to go to Australia and that it was canceled. And then someone was like, Erica probably can't travel because of her court date or something, which I don't know if that's true. I also saw a different headline that said that no housewives have ever been to Australia because then someone made a joke that you're not allowed to go to Australia if you have a DUI, which I also don't know if that's true. But I'm like, what if like there's never been a cast that someone didn't have a DUI? That's probably not true, but I think that's a funny thought starter.
Oh my God, I'm going to be thinking through that one probably for the rest of the episode, just while I try to talk at the same time. Yeah, that might be the case. I would love to see if there's a cast that doesn't have any DUI participants, I would love to see if they could rally a full cast to go to Australia. That would be an actual eye-opening trip culturally for me to see what the hell goes on down there, because I've never been to Australia. I don't, I think about it all the time, but I would love to see that through the eyes of the Housewives cast if they can get it together and stop having DUIs for an entire cast.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if any of those single things were true. But I don't know. I'm hopeful for the Rachel Zoe of it all, and that's got to be like hot on our heels, right?
That's hot, hot, hot. They were just filming at the Hamptons. I think they're going to wind down filming, but no, actually, I think they're probably, if they're still filming now, it's going to be like 6 months or something.
Okay.
I think, unless this would be so horrible news wise if I was just wrong. But what I saw, according to Page 6, which is sort of like the gospel for entertainment news, I think it was that they just were seen filming in the Hamptons. So we got a little ways for.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting if it's airing while Erica is in trial.
Yes, of course. And if I find out that this is all wrong, we'll delete all of this and no one will ever hear it. And maybe I just looked at Page 6. I was like looking at it upside down or something. But you're right. If it is also because of Erica, I heard that trial is coming up and that she's going to have to justify every piece of stuff that she bought during Tom Girardi's sort of, they call it when he had a wild hair up his ass.
That's what it says on the judgment.
But she's gonna have to go to the judge and say, Your Honor, these earrings are from a time where I didn't know that what he was participating in, those plane tickets, and it's going to be sort of a laundry list of her going through justifying all these purchases. Now that's a trial you and I should, if we can, try to get into, because you and I would be like I think we'd be two of the coolest court reporters that they could ever have in there, not to brag.
I'll dust off my hat with the little press paper on it from when we went to Sheena's
oh my God.
Court date.
I'll never forget. You and I were like two just sort of court reporters, just us and a couple other legacy podcasts. And we were getting this scoop before anyone in the world. And I would love to do that again. Okay, next bit of news.
In her book, Sheena's book, she was like saying how pissed she was at Raquel for not showing up to that court date. She's like, I would have loved to have been in my bed on that rare rainy day. And I was like, you're right. It was raining cats and dogs.
Hey, you never told. I still haven't gotten through. You never told me that she talks about our court date. Did she say that Amy and Riley from Turtle Time were directly behind me?
She does not shout us out, but she says, yeah, she's like, she said it was rainy and that she would have rather not gone to the Van Nuys courthouse. And I was like, me too.
Oh my God, yeah. If people want to see what Amy and I went through, there's a TikTok video that I dedicated to showing up to Sheena's court appearance, and it kind of shows the full day. You could see the rain. Sheena's not lying. There was rain. We were allowed to go in there. But anyway, well, that's amazing that sort of tangentially we are referenced in the Sheena memoir for that. Okay, let's get the hell out of that news that I brought up. My last bit of news. No, sorry. No, 2 more news items. I'm going to go through these quickly. on the Valley reunion that we just discussed 2 days ago, there's an uncensored version that you and I unfortunately did not get to recap because we're adhering to the screeners, but there's an uncensored version where Andy got to the bottom of specifically Brittany Cartwright's cocaine usage.
Yeah.
He said, while Jax was ripping lines, where were you? And she says that she only sniffed a few stray lines of coke throughout their entire relationship, barely, not even close to what Jax did. Just a few. She didn't even quantify it, but I wouldn't even imagine like more than 2
just
robust lines.
She said she doesn't like it, which if she has gastro problems, I can imagine that maybe that's not the best road for her, you know?
Yeah, totally. I think so for sure that, that would be a hindrance cocaine wise. And also if you don't really, I think, ramp it up and you're just used to like sniffing or snorting a big rip and then immediately it fades, that feeling after like 15 minutes, then you don't get to the place where you want to continue doing it all the time, like Jax per se. I can totally imagine that that's a viable excuse. And I was actually proud of Brittany for admitting that she does do coke because, No, sorry. I'm not proud that she sparsely used coke. I just thought it was brave of her to admit, well, Andy asked that question for her to say, yes, I tried it. Yeah. I didn't love it as much as Jax, nearly as much. Yeah. And now my coke era is over.
Yeah. She was like, I don't even smoke weed.
Yeah, she said, let alone coke. No, I don't even like the effects of weed. So
tequila is her only vice. We didn't talk about this. She's doing World's Toughest. I was saying that Jax should do it, but it turns out it's going to be Brittany.
Wow. Well, that would have been, I should have thought of that as news. That was huge. Teresa Giudice, Gia Giudice, Brittany Cartwright, and someone else that I forget.
There's all kinds of crazy people on here. There's Eva from Atlanta Housewives / America's Next Top Model. They have her marked as a Next Top Model, not Housewives. Jussie Smollett, he's from Empire. Is that what show's called?
So,
and then he had that whole scandal. So they're going to give him the 5th degree. Is that what it's called?
I think we just talked about
3rd degree?
I think you and I
now that we've questioned it, it's like not secure in my mind.
Let me just imagine a cop is interviewing me. Don't give me the 3rd degree, not 5th. Yeah,
3rd degree burn.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting, Jussie, with, those, I think that there's like, if I remember correctly, it's like ex-military people, and they're going to be asking a bunch of questions. It'll be very fun to see, Teresa in that environment. How will Gia and Teresa interact? Will they have a fun camaraderie on World's Toughest? And then Brittany, that was a big surprise. I think that's going to be very fun.
Brianna Chicken Fry.
Brianna Chicken Fry, someone I hear once every 6 months on Turtle Time, and I never know who that is.
Yeah, and it looks like a lot of sports people that I don't care about, but I will be tuning in. I hate to say it, but I don't imagine that Brittany will have the maybe she has a secret competitive spirit. I don't know.
I think she does. I hate to brag, but when I met her in the Valley van, there you could tell that there was a huge spark of competitiveness, sort of a friendly rivalry, and I could witness in the sort of in this sort of like inner off-camera persona, I could really see the makings of a world's toughest test competitor, and so that's just a scoop from my lips to the Turtle Time audience. I really think that she's gonna do it.
She's gonna like hang from a helicopter and like do backflips and shit, and I'll be like, I fucking bite my tongue. Never
Yeah, and
mind.
I'll be like, this is exactly what I expected. All right. That was a huge news item. World Seven says, I'm glad we talked about that. Teresa's going to be great on there. I can't
Yeah.
not wait to see the people when they're saying like, they're doing the lie detector test or whatever.
Yeah.
And Teresa's going to be like, I will never tell a lie again. And they'll be like, oh my God, you are one of the most honest people we've ever had on this show. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just realized that because Teresa's like fit, you know, she's obsessed with fitness. And I was thinking she might have trouble for like puzzles and stuff, but the puzzles aren't as uh I feel like not as much as Traders. Like I would actually love to see Teresa on Traders trying to deal with like riddles and stuff and just get completely confused and like bamboozled.
Oh yeah, there was a huge potential for her to blow it a couple times on those kind of more crafty traders puzzles, like that backwards singing one, the one where the babies are all in that those little treasure chests. Oh my God, yeah, thinking of her doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, the world's toughest test. I think if I remember correctly, they're kind of like 3 out of 10 on the puzzle scale, right?
Yeah, I like hardly even remember what they do on there, but I remember that I love it.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe this will be the first season, I watch. It really could potentially be. But so let's put a pin in that and add some stuff to the Amy and Riley docket of things to watch. And then lastly, before we move into talking about Orange County, some huge Real Housewives of Miami news has come to my attention. The reunion seating chart, the reunion is actively happening now as we record. If we right now close our eyes, we could probably hear Alexia or Stephanie fighting with each other. But we found out the reunion seating chart, and Stephanie got the coveted first chair next to Andy in opposition to Alexia, which threw me for a major loop, curveball,
Yeah,
so to
wild.
speak.
Yeah,
So here's my thoughts on this, if you don't mind.
please.
I think that Bravo, Andy, etc., are really rolling out the red carpet for Stephanie as a cast member, giving her sort of carte blanche on this season, editing her, putting her in every episode, giving her 10 minutes of every episode since she touched down on
Yeah.
this show, because they are trying to make major shifts on this cast next year. And if they have a prized person, it's going to make that decision a lot easier. And so almost vaulting Stephanie up to first chair makes the audience and everyone think, oh my God, did Stephanie justify it? Let's rewatch it. Let's think about it. It like puts that to first chair position conflict.
Mhm.
And it's going to make it easier when they make big cast shifts to have Stephanie there.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I mean, we're going to talk about it later, but I thought her performance on this newest episode was strong and that she's playing the game wisely. Like she has producer brain, and I think she's capable. Like who were we saying the other day? Maybe we were saying Gertie or Julia. Aren't
Both.
capable of like running with the ball, like and like drawing the playbook. And I think that Stephanie is very capable of that.
Yeah, I think so too. She does. We'll talk about it later, but she does do a sort of uh, game show esque, sort of awarding a ticket to one special fan for
Golden
this
ticket.
a total golden ticket scenario, Willy Wonka esque, where she thinks that people are going to grovel and fight for this one exclusive pass on her private jet, and it did lead to one of the best moments on Miami this season, which we'll
Yeah.
talk about. So Interesting that Stephanie's first chair. I understand it. I am disappointed as someone who's been watching this season like an eagle-eyed viewer to know that it's going to pertain more to this Cold War between Stephanie and Alexia, just because Alexia, for me, has no merit to her fight with Stephanie. Stephanie is just poking her with everything that I feel about Alexia's sort of contradictory behavior. And so I hope that it justifies itself more and they actually earn that opposition position and it's not just based on what we already know. And then the rest kind of just makes sense. Julia's like third chair, Kiki's, final chair. Gertie is also, I think, final chair on the left-hand side.
Adriana.
Oh, Adriana, which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But just, I guess for me, it's a slight warning sign that when we get to the end of the season, we may still only be dealing with that Stephanie and Alexia dynamic.
Right. Was Kiki on the whole reunion last time, or did she just pop in?
I'd have to remember, but I think if I was guessing, Kiki was a friend of last season, so I think that she would have popped in for a full part or something and not been the entire time.
Do they put pop-ins on the chart? That wouldn't make sense, right?
Well, no, because Kiki's a full-time cast member now, so it makes sense that she's on the chart.
Okay. What was her tagline?
Oh, my God. I don't even know. Oh, my God. I don't even know any of the taglines.
Yeah, what was anyone's tagline? I already, don't remember. I just remember the OC ones.
Me too. Those are so good. All right. Well, and then was there any other, hot off the presses Miami news before, or we can just save it for our Miami discussion later?
Right.
Oh, my God. 27 minutes of news. Oh, my God. What the hell?
I just saw, I didn't read the article, so I probably shouldn't speak, but Gabbin with Gibbs posted that there was a Hollywood Reporter article about Miami, and the highlights that he posted were that ratings are up 14% this season. Show has had a strong and steady build since the reboot, which is definitely network talk, and that executives had a strong conversations with Julia after the water throw, and that the EP wants to add a Latin pop star to the cast.
Whoa.
I thought Adriana already was that.
Well, she definitely meets that criteria completely for me, but wow. Yeah. I mean, I think that we are cruising for a big cash shakeup here. And, in my mind, I'm really predicting that Gertie and Julia are both going to be gone next season. I just think that it's unfortunately the way it has to be given the entertainment level that they're bringing, and partially due to Julia's abhorrent behavior, which we've talked about a lot. Okay, wonderful news. I mean, that's it. Nothing else is going to come in news-wise except those 6 wonderful news items that you and I talked about. Limit.
Oh, I did want to shout out. I should have brought this up when we were talking about Kyle and Dorit, but I wanted to give an honorable shout out to a comment we got for a pitch for Kyle's memoir, From Rags to Richards. I liked that one a lot.
I love that. I love that too. I was so happy that a few people, mostly Villa Rosa VIPs, which makes sense, participated in this competition, which we should have said. It's a competition. We want these titles. And I also liked Hello, Kyle. I thought that was great as a contrary counter to Goodbye, Kyle. Hello, Kyle. It's
she could have a Hello Dolly type cover.
It's so cool. I mean, I was imagining it, huge title with a big exclamation point. So those are definitely, both are contenders. Thank you, Villa Rosa VIPs. If anybody wants to compete in the Kyle Richards Memoir Title Challenge, we will DM Kyle Richards and send the top 10 best options, and she has the right to refuse them or use any of them, and no one gets paid for it.
Yes.
Great. Okay, let us leave now that news. And please let us talk about Real Housewives of Orange County. This thing was called the Big Uneasy this episode because they go, I think, to what people refer to New Orleans as the Big Easy.
Yeah. For
my money, I believe that it's what it's called. And then they call it, I'd say a play on words by saying that they're all uneasy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Housewives is back. This is the best episode of the year. Just kidding.
Really? Really? So you contend that this is still a marked decline, notable decline in this series of OC episodes?
Yes.
Okay, I think that half of this episode, I definitely agree with you. There was a lot of Gina House, a little bit of Ryan and Jen at the gym, a little bit of Tamra making beats with Sophia. But then I gotta say, I was almost bowled over by the haunted dinner. That
Okay.
that 15-minute haunted dinner. Well, first of all, I thought it was almost a little too scary to air on television just because of some of the stuff that was happening, the ghosts and everything. But I felt like Gina said, stop everybody. Or the producer said, we need a little bit of resolution here. No more. Let's just take it easy. And I felt like when they were all calm and they were just sitting there, the conversations that came up, like the sex stuff, which
Yeah.
normally is like sex questions, it actually felt more organic and natural. And it felt like they were finally having fun. Like, Emily cracks the joke of the century, which we'll talk about. Like, there was a real feeling of camaraderie and fun finally, which I really valued. But I think I agree with you that it took a long time and some dog shit, scenes to get to that point in New
Yeah.
Orleans.
Yeah. We had to not be triggered by the turtle soup.
Oh, I know. I was saying, oh my God, how are we going to discuss this when the mascot of Turtle Time is being eaten by Gina? Okay, well, we'll go through the shitty parts a little breezier until we get to this I mean, I can't wait to talk about this haunted dinner. Gina is at her house, and it's a house tour slash home. What's that called when you bring people to your house? Home warming?
Housewarming.
Sorry. Housewarming slash tour, and
Yeah.
everyone. It's an all cast event.
Yeah.
And Gina is making a huge thing, a big pot of jambalaya. And you can see that they're making it, and everybody's sort of hovering over it, and they're like waiting to eat this jambalaya. And I looked it up, and I said I was like, why did she serve that? And it's because that's a New Orleans or Louisiana dish. And she was sort of giving them a huge clue. Did you know this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought that I said to myself, what, I just said, whoa, I wonder if there's any significance to this jambalaya. And then once I found out it was the New Orleans trip, I said to myself, holy shit, that's perfect. It makes so much sense now.
What a revelation. I wasn't even like clocking what I was like. She was talking a lot about how she hired the same chef. She like kept talking about the chef, and I was like, they like weren't even showing like I was like, I don't care
Right.
who you hire to make your food.
Right. I think, see, a lot of that was there's a I'm just gonna say it, we don't have to edit it out. There's a little bit of a rumbling I hear, but it's okay. Well, let's keep it in. But I'm hearing a consistent little. It's kind of like that ghost in the haunted dinner is scratching along the surface, but that's okay. Maybe the magic AI will get this out, but we don't have to edit this out. But anyway, I thought that she was purposefully saying, look at my chef, look what she's making. It's jambalaya. Does anybody know where jambalaya originates from, or where it mostly pertains to regionally? And then when people, if they would have stopped to just think about it for a second, they would have known that she's teeing up a New Orleans trip.
Yeah. Well, it was weird because, I mean, this comes up, but like she sort of ruins the surprise. I mean, not ruin, but Tamra like cock blocks any enthusiasm for New Orleans by sharing that she was most recently just in New Orleans with Teddy, who's like gravely ill, who apparently in New Orleans fell down like marble stairs, and it was like extremely traumatic and like horrible. And she's like, Tamara's still shaken up about it. And it's like 10 minutes after she tells that story, she's like, burr, 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 we're going to New Orleans. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I didn't think about how it kind of sullied, the announcement in a way for Tamara to associate it with this horrible thing that happened to her and Teddy. But Tamara does react to that, 5 minutes after she goes, I can barely think about this because all I'm thinking about is my New Orleans trip with Teddy. Yeah. So you're right. It did sort of step on it a little bit. I mean, it's not Gina's fault or anything, but it made Tamara have to associate New Orleans again with the most painful thing that's going on with her life. Before that, a little bit, I wanted to say I don't have to say this at all, but Gina did have by her laundry station, she did have a thing that said, check your pockets. And I've never seen that before in my life, but this is not at all very interesting. But I'd never seen this anything, and it says check your pockets, and it's a big sort of a cup, I guess, where you could place coins or whatever. Did you?
That was a home goods purchase if I've ever seen one.
I've never even seen that concept before. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you, or were you aware of something like that existing?
I guess probably everyone has their own little version. I think a lot of people have like a lint container. To our listeners, do you have anything like that?
You don't think she doesn't use that for checking her pockets, and she possibly puts a lint in that thing, do you?
I mean, check your pockets for lint.
Oh, that's true. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Oh, right. Oh, I'm sorry. I was completely ridiculous. I was thinking you could ball up the lint from your dryer or whatever and put it in that until you get to a garbage can. But no, what you said makes a lot more sense. Okay, and one thing that keeps popping up is and we've talked about this a little bit, is that Gina has now let the lid off of the
former fatty photo.
The former fatty photo
It's just called that now. They say it 20 times in this episode.
Yeah, so I'm going to, unfortunately, I'm going to use that phrase because it is central to this episode. But Jen goes, at one point, she goes, well, Tamra can't be reeling from her grief if she's throwing around my former fatty photo to all of my friends here. And that's her and Gretchen's justification for not believing Tamra's the tendency to be sympathetic towards Tamra, because they're like, why would you have ever shown that former fatty photo if you are in a place where you're trying to make amends and you're sad about your friend? So it's kind of the one couple things you could point to that Tamra has already done this season to show that, like, while you're grieving, you're also trying to stir up a bunch of shit and throwing people under the bus, like telling them about the Katie Janelli recording, that photo that we just talked about. And then a couple other things that Tamra is doing just to stir up conflict,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heather was also so like flip-flop about, because Heather's the one that leaked that Tamra showed her the former fatty photo. And they were all like, or Jen was like, what the fuck, Heather? Like, what did you say when she showed it? And she was like, I was just like, cool, like, whatever. She looks great.
Yeah, and it goes to Heather, and she doesn't say anything too bad. She just goes, holy shit. And then she goes, oh, but then she goes, good for her. And so she refused to sort of partake in the cruel optics or the cruel perception.
Sure. But she also wasn't like, Tamra, please, like, what are you doing?
Right. And then you're right. So I think, but then I also was like, I think that Jen is getting mad at Heather. Jen has decided that she kind of wants a little bit of the piece of the Heather pie by yelling at Heather a lot. She did it last week or 2 weeks ago where she was yelling at Heather. And then I think she's yelling at Heather now because she's too afraid to face off with Tamra again. Not afraid, but I think she's using Heather as a scapegoat because it's easier to get mad at Heather than it is to go toe to toe with Tamra all the time, who is one of the best purveyors of conflict on the show, who can handle almost anything. So I think I'm kind of like, I don't know if Heather deserved what Jen was trying to bring to Heather in that scene.
Yeah, Heather was like, I mean, I don't expect you to defend me, so don't expect it the other way. Also, both OC and Miami had someone bringing a appliance as a gift this week.
That was huge. There, I forgot to mention this. There were so many parallels between these two episodes. If people haven't watched Miami yet, you have to, because there's a huge big box of appliance that is delivered to both parties. And they're both setting up trip episodes where you get to see how two different cast members at the same time set up trips on different shows, which I don't think I've ever been synced like this, where we're recapping two shows and they're both on the exact same episode of setting up the trip and how they handle it. And there's even more parallels than that. I won't even get into it.
Yeah. I will say for both gifts, I'd be like, where the fuck am I supposed to put this?
I know. It's almost... Certainly at my house right now, I could not take a 3-foot by 3-foot appliance and put it anywhere.
That's like frivolous. One was like an ice cream maker and one was sort of like a margarita machine or something. And I'm like, yeah, I have no need for this.
Do you think giganticappliance.com was saying which Bravo celebrities won a big big appliance, and then they were all just being, regifted and thrown around town.
Right.
Because what are the odds?
Gertie posted an Amazon receipt because she didn't want to be accused of regifting, so she bought hers.
It was like $300.
Insane.
Really, an olive branch or whatever you call that, peace offering for sure. Which I can't wait to get into that. And then also, Jen does say one thing about Heather, which I believe is true. She goes, Heather won't stand up to Tamra because she is frightened of what Tamra will do to her. And after watching 3 seasons ago when Tamra and Heather were on the same season, I believe that to be true. I think that Heather is so cautious around Tamra and is just associating with her and being her ally because she is scared of the chaos that Tamra will wreak if she was an enemy.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about how Heather was like completely on the outs a while ago. Gretchen also just like, it was funny because it didn't really turn into a whole thing, but Gretchen was just like talking shit to Tamra, but it never turned into like a real fight. But she was just like, Tamra, it's kind of like sad that you just keep acting the same way over and over again. Like, you should just apologize. Like, you should just like whatever. And Tamara's like, you've been coming after me for years. And then, but it like doesn't get too heated. And Gretchen's just like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go sit with the other ladies.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, it made me think like Gretchen so far is not like getting into it very much, but overall I enjoy her presence as a friend of much more than I did Alexis Bellino's. I mean, obviously I want her to do more or showcase more of her life or whatever she wants to bring to the table, but so far just having Gretchen on the cast seems to be a better fit than when Bellino was on it, because you had to suffer through a lot of odd moments with Alexis Bellino last season. I think that Gretchen's just an overall better fit, and I just like enjoy her presence more.
Yeah. She also, so like she's talking with the ladies outside, and then they get the announcement. Tamra's when they announce the trip, Tamra immediately is upset and just wanders away crying. And then Gretchen says to somebody, she's like, she's really good at playing the victim. And I was like, okay, so like they are just going to be enemies, like probably forever.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely think so. And then we get the announcement of where they're going, which we've already talked about, right? Gina goes up on the roof and she starts screaming New Orleans over and over again. And then she drops a big bushel of beads all over them and says, open your things, boxes that I gave you. And there are a bunch of those, I think Mardi Gras masks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, like, on Miami, they're just like, what if we went to Spain? Like, you love Spain, like, and then just the guise of inviting people on these trips is so flop at this point, where it's just like, everyone knows, it's on their schedule, like, it's fine. Just whatever.
Now that you bring that up, I think it's a good time to talk about it. So I prefer this way of doing things, where it's just like, I'm surprising you all on a trip to New Orleans. Here's a bunch of masks. Put them on right now, because the pretense is gone. Miami, Julia handles it. Julia and Marisol handle it the worst I've ever seen it done in my life. It's one of the worst scenes ever. Or what not to do when you are the one who is positioning a trip on the group. And I do think that it is starting to get ridiculous overall how they try to justify this shit. I think it should just be they all open up an envelope at the start of one of the episodes and it just says the trip that they're going on all together, or at least figure out a way that just doesn't pretend that there's some excuse or reason why they're definitely going to Seville, Spain, like Miami does, which makes no sense.
Right. Yeah. There was no justification for New Orleans, was there? It's just for fun for Mardi Gras.
Gina just said, I've always loved Mardi Gras since I was, I think she said like 12 years old or something. So I wanted to share that experience. But yeah, no, it's a given now that we all know that they just go on big trips to a dedicated location that they plotted out before the season even started. I liked it more on Southern Charm when it was Shep and he was like, I'm dating someone in the Bahamas, and I'm not sure about the status of my relationship. And they were like, let's all go to the Bahamas. When it's organic to the plot, it makes a lot more sense,
Right.
even if you have to fake your way to it. But
Mhm.
these are just such random trips.
Right.
There's no excuse for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like people are going on the trips when they're, like they have to. I'm just going to keep comparing to Miami, but they're literally like, Gertie, like, we hate your guts. And I don't know if you'd be comfortable going on this trip, but that's where we're going.
Right.
It's like, why would they ever, like, it's the same with all housewives. Is like, there's no reason they would ever hang out, but it's like amplified on the trips.
Yeah, there should be like a third party that on every franchise that they just refer to, and maybe it's not even a real person. Like it's like Amy and Riley, or like just this like person. They go, Amy and Riley has chosen you all to go to this place, and it's treated in the
It's like
cast
Knives Out or something.
yeah,
Like,
totally. It's like a little bit of a mystery, but we all know who that is off screen. That's like telling them to go on this trip. Because I think you made the point before I could when we were talking about Miami that was the worst way to handle it, what Julia ends up trying to do in Miami, which we'll talk about. Okay, so then now I don't think we have to talk about Jen and Ryan at the gym.
Yeah.
I don't think at all.
Yeah, it just sets up something that comes up at the haunted dinner, that her ex is not paying child support, and they used a Jeff Lewis serious show clip, which isn't just now how we find out about stuff. I guess they use those clips as if they're flashbacks from the show.
It was a really weird clip.
Yeah,
it was like it was a deposition. He was a lawyer.
yeah, but that is an interesting fact. I didn't know that she's owed like $200,000 from the sale of their house that she just never got for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. I liked that part of it, I guess. But it was like really weird that he was just teeing up facts. And he was like, you were owed $250,000. Is that right? She goes, yes. And he goes, and what about this $6,000 you were owed per month? Did you obtain that? She goes, no. It was like, what the hell? If I was
that's how we
like
got
that...
all of the Shannon cash money loan promissory note details, was from him being like that. Remember?
All right. Well, true. Yeah. Maybe I have to see more of the context for when it's like fun and good. But from that clip I saw, it just was like very clinical and not
You're like,
fun.
why would anyone go on this?
Yeah. Like you're just going to talk about your finances and who owes you what money. It was an odd clip to me. But I guess good to know that we got that information.
Yeah.
And then, I think that we could probably just basically travel to New Orleans ourselves, or what's that called? In spirit, along with this cast. They try to explain why it's two different planes. Gina says, yeah, you can't get us all on a plane together. What the hell? So we're going in two groups, and it's divided kind of by like team A, upper tier cast, and B tier cast for the most part. Emily, Katie, Gina, and who else are on the first flight?
Yeah.
And then it's like Shannon, Heather, Tamra, and Jen Padranti on the second flight.
Yeah.
And there's not much interesting stuff before they both align, right? Except that they don't know that they're on the Mississippi River.
Right. Also, Shannon is like frantically shopping at the Spanx store at LAX, which I always see it there, and I'm like, who's going in there? Like, what is this?
Yeah, Shannon says that 95% of her wardrobe is Spanx, so she has to make sure that she has the latest Spank
the latest
clothing.
And greatest.
Yeah, so that was I forgot about that moment. That was pretty great. And then they do kind of at this point they talk about the photo and they talk about the grudges and stuff, but I feel like they all know that this is sort of smoke that they're trying to catch with their hands a little bit, and they're losing the fervor besides the former fatty photo, which is new. Yeah. Everything else, I don't know. I feel like there's a conscious effort on their part to try to get over some stuff, and they kind of just talk about everything that are like grudges to like get over it in a way for this beautiful haunted dinner, which I loved.
Yeah. So they cruise into this dinner. Heather is like, because they're talking about whoever owns the house or whatever, and Heather's like, wouldn't it be great if I could haunt Chateau Dubrow and see like what changes they've made, and if they replaced my etched window and my heated drawers and stuff? And I was like, damn, I actually forgot like what a big role that house played for like the building of it, and then we didn't get to see it for like however many years that she was off the show, and then we got to see it again, and then she fucking sold it anyways.
I remember that, and I think it's the biggest regret of her and Terry's life. I think that they sold that because somebody said, I'll pay you $20 million, and they couldn't pass it up because they love money so much, and they sold their beautiful dream forever home, and then now they're kind of cursed by their greed, and all of their houses are absolutely pure shit, one after the other, and they'll never get that beautiful house that has their their genealogy etched in stone in that house. And so I think that's why Heather wants to, of all the houses that she's ever lived in, that's the one that she would haunt to check in on.
Yeah. Maybe they'll buy it back. They can do like a Carrie Bradshaw where they keep buying their apartment back like over and over again.
I think that is, I really hope that they would pay over whatever they sold it for and say, get this family, please, from our house. We want this back, because their home life, I'll just say it, has sucked. Since then, there was some funny stuff. I mean, were you with me at all that this was kind of scary? Like,
I mean, it looked fun. I was a little like, places like that. I mean, it seemed like they thought the food was good. Places like that, I'm always like, is this even a restaurant? Like, what is this?
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm a little scared of places that are like a gimmick that also serves food.
Yeah, I was worried that they were going to look into the kitchen and there would just be cutlery not attached to any living soul making their
like
food
one of those,
in the
like,
back.
Egg beaters in the air, like.
Yeah, and Gina goes, "Holy shit! There's no staff. Someone's whisking the turtle soup, but there's no person doing it." At one point, I'll just spoil this. At one point, Joe blows it big time and spills. He gets attacked. Joe blows it big time, and he gets attacked by, I think, the spirit of the house, and he gets pushed. You watch it on this thing. Everybody go back. He, out of nowhere, he gets basically shoved, and he spills, he dumps an entire espresso martini over Heather's head.
Oof,
and Heather
he chose the wrong one.
And Heather is not being fun about it. Even I would pretend if I got dunked with espresso martini, I'd be like, Joe, it's no big deal. I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
But
that's Joe, also like the worst drink because it's like sticky.
Oh, Heather. I mean, I think Heather went to go change for 20 or fix herself up for 20 minutes and they didn't even show it. There was not a hint of making this seem fun from Heather. She was so upset with Joe, and you could tell that Joe was embarrassed the rest of this haunted dinner that happened. He really was. He was like, because that's, no matter what you do service wise, I'll say this as a server at Applebee's. Yeah, this was before espresso martinis, luckily, so I was only able to pour like beer on people's heads. Appleteenies. I only spilled one Appletini on a couple people's laps, but it's. I'll say it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah. Brutal.
Brutal. And so Joe really, like, that was horrible. But they kind of take it in stride for the most part. They're eating turtle soup. They're eating steak. and
shrimp and grits.
Shrimp and grits. And then they say, let's shut up. And let's just talk about what truly matters, which is fun stuff like this. And then they talk about they talk about some other stuff, but then they get into fun stuff like sex positions. It seems like this is the first time Heather's ever thought to ask her friends what sex positions they like. And then Emily makes, I think, a 9 out of 10 joke. Put it forever. Solidify it in Bravo history. Emily made one of the best jokes ever on a season. She imitates Heather having sex with Terry and says, Terry, tell me about our stock portfolio, baby, and imitates them having sex, and that Heather gets off on their business endeavors and how much money they have. And Heather, I've never seen her laugh like this. It was the most...
She actually laughed.
She laughed. Boisterous laughter. And Emily had everyone at the table laughing.
That stitches.
That never happened. So Emily, no matter what you do this season, I don't care. You delivered a 9 out of 10 joke. You made the entire cast laugh. And you made Heather, the recipient of the joke, laugh really loud. That's huge.
Yes. Also, she said, because I think Emily's like, they're asking, who are they asking if they would get with a short guy? Shannon?
No. So yeah, they ask Shannon. They go. Heather says, "Hey, would you ever get with a short guy, sort of similar to Shane Simpson?" And Emily goes, "She goes, how could dare you? Is that an implied that my husband is short?" And then that's when I think Heather says, "Guess what? Even Terry, who you all love, wears big lifts in his
Wow.
shoes."
The mask is off, Hollywood.
It made me start squealing when I was watching this. I said, not only is it Jax, not only is it Robert Downey Jr., now we even know Terry Dubrow wears huge lifts in his shoes to get a couple inches on everybody.
Yeah. Someone commented when we were talking about Jax wearing them that he should get that like leg lengthening surgery, which I won't say too much, but there's a plot in The Materialists about men getting taller. So it's like really in the air right now.
Yeah, I know one recipient of leg lengthening surgery.
You do?
Well, I'll tell you off mic because I don't. It's alleged, and
but like
I
a
would,
celebrity or someone we know.
No. Sorry, someone we know, and then and a very notable litigious figure.
Oh,
so I'll tell you off mic.
please. It's the most like barbaric thing you could imagine.
Yeah, someone that you know. No, I'm sorry. No, a notable celebrity. I was accused of having leg lengthening surgery, but if they listen to Turtle Time, I would get sued instantly. So I can't say it on mic.
Okay.
So that was huge. Terry lists, and then I have to say they're just having fun for the rest of this. When they talk about sex positions, Heather says, "I like to be on top." Tamara says, "I like Eddie to take me have sex with me while I'm laying on my side so that I can just have him have sex with me and then I'll go to sleep right after."
Depressing. And then Emily, they like get on the floor and do a whole demo. And then Jen reveals, this is brutal, she got some pelvic floor surgery. I guess she's had like a grip of kids. She has like what, like 4 kids or something. And that her vagina, I think she was implying that it's too small now.
She implied and stated. She said that Ryan has trouble. They have
the tip.
Yeah, and she says it. I swear, I think she said
another act of bravery.
Yeah, and so they go, "Oh my God."
I mean, I guess that's better than the alternative to be like, sorry to be crass, but like, my pussy's too tight.
Not to be too crass.
I mean,
yeah, no, of course, no, not to be. I don't think that was crass at all. No, yeah. So, and then that has everybody again in stitches because they're laughing at this new, sort of thing to consider about Jen Petranti and Ryan Petranti's lovemaking. And then here's what I'll say: I was starting to laugh and have fun and celebrate OC, and then they go.
You felt like one of the girls.
I was just like, this is fun. I was like, Heather's
you had a martini
up.
at home.
I was just dying. And then Joe is like kind of like running around going like, this is not appropriate. But he doesn't want to say anything because he spilled a huge espresso martini on Heather. But then they go, guess what? They go ... There's going to be more shitty fighting coming up in 24 hours. And I was like, no, wait. I liked this. And I think all the fighting is going to be shitty. You didn't need to tease me with shitty conflict. I liked how it ended in a place of resolution at that haunted dinner. That's probably just for me as a personal opinion, and a lot of people will be ramped up to see it. But I actually thought that this was the best showcase of OC so far.
Yeah, because there were a couple of moments where it got a little more like serious, which felt like it kind of bonded them. Like Jen talked about child support and that Ryan had to talk to her ex about it. And then Gina talked about that Travis's ex-wife is insane and is like taking his son out of school and they haven't seen him in weeks, and so they cover some like serious territory, so I felt like they got to like have a release after that, and like I don't think there was any like sass about the child support stuff, was there?
No, but there was funny moment while they're all having fun when they talk about creating sex tapes for people.
Oh, right.
Shannon got one of the best
Zingers.
Best zingers ever in the moment. Katie goes, I've recorded myself. I have multiple sex tapes of me and Matt having sex. And Shannon goes, well, wouldn't you think so? Sorry, she says it a lot better. She goes, Katie loves to record, obviously, so I think she has a bunch of sex tapes. And they don't let it ruin the time that they're having, but it was a perfect.
I mean, you have to give it to her. If I was Katie, I'd be like, fine.
Yeah, it was like, that's perfect. That was appropriate to say that I record everything.
Yeah. Also, Tamra got a Shein joke in. I know you can appreciate that more after our discussion.
That was huge because, I was thinking Shein was a kind of, I don't know. Upper scale. And she goes, she could have gotten that wardrobe on Shein for $15. And I said, whoa, well, that with the new context I have, that checks out to me. So that was good. And then Tamra, we find out, contrary to what I said and lied about last week, we are going to see Tamra quit the show. Who was I kidding? On this season of OC, if they have a cast member saying that they're going to quit and then coming back, of course they're going to include that in the edit. I was wrong. They're going to make a big meal of that, of course. Yeah. And so Tamara's going to quit the show. Gina accused her of being really drunk. And then Tamara is going to say, I don't want to deal with this stuff right now. I'm in the place where I had this horrible thing happen with Teddy. I'm thinking about her constantly. I don't want to deal with this shitty show right now.
Yes. So we'll see. I mean, you're right. The haunted dinner was fun.
Good. Oh my God. Good. Wow. Oh my God. Good. I'm so glad. I mean, now that upon recollection, I'm glad that it brought some fun moments to the fray.
Made me want to go to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
Me too. Oh my God. I wish I could. Yeah, I want to go there really soon. Okay. How do you feel about giving Miami a little bit of its due?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll let you lead the way, but I did just watch it, and I have my takes are hot and ready to go.
Oh shit! Oh my God! When you have hot take, when you have a huge hot take, just let it rip. Say hot take alert, and yeah, I would love to hear any of them.
That's what we're here to do, after all. We're out of our fucking minds today. Sorry.
All right, Real Housewives of Miami. This thing is called Pretty Petty People. I guess Pretty Peppy People because
preppy petty people.
Oh right, because they go to a big preppy dinner. It was kind of like a costume event at Marisol's house for some reason. Not really sure exactly why. Here's what the main agenda was of this Miami episode. Marisol and Adriana are feuding post that yacht trip because we know what Adriana was doing, calling Marisol wrinkly knees, calling her old, calling her everything you've ever heard.
Marisol's like, she's literally older than me, but okay.
Yeah. And so Marisol, though, doesn't deny Adriana an invite to her preppy party. She's burying the hatchet, I guess, preemptively. But they both are going into it knowing that their conflict arose because Adriana found out that Marisol didn't want her on that yacht. And then while Adriana's talking about that with someone else, she also talks about Julia and her sort of dueling loyalty, which I find to be probably the most interesting dramatic thing we're wrestling with here, because I think there is some truth to the fact that Julia has denied her friendship with Adriana to get to the Holy Grail, the holy duo of Marisol and Alexia. And that comes into play multiple times throughout this episode. And it ends with the biggest payoff I've ever seen when they get to that preppy dinner. I loved when Adriana brings it up around everyone later.
Yeah, that was great. I do like that she's a little more involved now, because for a while she was like almost non-existent. And I think she's entertaining. So I'm glad that she's in the mix.
Adriana.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes. And she delivered to me the laugh out loud moment of this episode when she does bring up in this fun, and it's exactly like what Shannon did, in this fun spirit of camaraderie that they're all having at the preppy dinner. She brings up the Julia thing, and it's almost like a record scratch moment where everybody has to consider that for a second. So it's great. Like, Adriana has provided me so many thrilling, fun moments throughout the run, and she really brought it this episode again.
She was on Watch What Happens, and she said that the meanest housewife she's encountered is Giselle.
I saw that. I saw Queens of Bravo, thankfully, recapped it for me. And I saw that she
We're
wanted to be in
just
the
a
front.
Queens of Bravo recap podcast.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, who couldn't be? You get all of the news in the world. It's amazing. But yeah, I saw that it had to do with like a front seat.
Yeah.
Giselle wanted a front seat or something.
And then Giselle commented, Harpo, who is this woman? Which is a Color Purple reference.
Oh my God. Wow. Oh, okay. So we have the beginnings of a huge feud here.
They can squash that beef at BravoCon.
That's amazing. Oh my God. I think we're starting to get in the season of teeing up some potential fodder for cross-show conflict for BravoCon.
Yeah, we should make a wish list.
Of what we want to see conflict-wise?
Yeah.
I think you and I, even if we wanted to fake our asses off, we could start creating a bunch of odd content that conflict that we settle at BravoCon between us or with different cast members randomly, if you and I want.
Squash our beef about you thinking that Jersey Mike's is bad.
Oh my God. That would be awesome.
It could be sponsored.
That would be so cool.
By Jersey Mike, so that you'll have to cave.
Oh my God. If I saw if Jersey Mike came to it and I had to tell him his sandwiches were bad, I would never do it. I would say, I was just kidding for 2 years. I love Jersey Mike's. I'm sorry that you had to get here, Mike.
The bread is good. That's what you would say.
The bread is so good. Squash. Hey, I think that you kind of hit on something here. Next to the alley in that alley by Caesar's Forum, in that back alley where all the cars are driving by, you and I could set up a little tent called "Squash the Beef" between Amy and Riley about Jersey Mike's. And any Villa Rosa VIPs or little turtle cuties who want to pop in that tent and watch me eat Jersey Mike's in front of Jersey Mike, you could watch it unfold. Me have to lie and pretend like I like it, or if maybe you give me a sandwich that I actually do enjoy.
And for a few dollars more, we'll make it a kissing booth.
Oh my God. $2.50 or $3
for the cheek.
That would be awesome. Okay. I kissing booth. Oh my God. Squash the Beef Jersey Mike style with Amy and Riley / kissing booth. This is. Well, we've got until November, so let's workshop that a little bit. But I find that to be a very, very enticing idea.
We're like, we need money.
Yeah, no. Oh, I think that I would love to get a certain amount of money from a bunch of people coming up and kissing us on the cheek. Or do we kiss them on the cheek?
I guess their request.
Oh my God!
It could be Arby's Squash the Beef.
Oh,
and then maybe we could get a lipstick sponsor for the kissing booth.
I love this, and I won't talk about this too long, but I will start laying the foundation for an Arby's feud by saying, I think Arby's is shit. For Arby's Squash the Beef tent to come up, me eat an Arby's sandwich, I declare whether or not I like it. And then in addition to that, what's a good lipstick brand that you'd want to be associated with?
I don't know, like Charlotte Tilbury.
Charlotte Tilbury sounds really good. So it'd be like, sorry everyone, the Arby segment has ended. Mr. Arby, you can leave. We'll wipe our mouths now and put lipstick by Cherberry Tilbury, and then the kissing booth can commence. And I'm thinking maybe 3 hours at the beginning of the day before the panels start.
Yeah, we'll eat beef and then we'll kiss you.
Hey, okay, wonderful. I mean, it's something to look forward to at BravoCon in addition to everything else. One through line for this, I can kind of get Gertie's side of things out pretty easily. Mm-hmm. Gertie says, I feel extremely on the outs with this group. Yeah. Almost to the point of calling them all a cult. She feels like everything she has done has gone over very badly. I mean, it did go over badly. The text thing. She did not get the proper rallying around her after Julia dumped a big bucket of water on her head. And so now Gertie is trying to understand where she went wrong. And she knows, though, that ultimately she needs to make up with Julia because this is not working in her favor. All the paths led here, and she feels completely isolated from the group to the point where, like you said, Marisol's like, do you even want to come? Like, we are going on a trip, so maybe... And Marisol's like, I don't even know what's going on with you. Alexia declared it officially bad, what she did, and that no one likes it. So by the end of this episode, I feel like Gertie has just decided that she needs to have a round 3 or round 4 talking to Julia. And then her and Julia just admit, we both were not our best, and we need to move past this. And they have that reconciliation at the end of the episode.
I did find Marisol and Alexia to be very dismissive towards her in that conversation, where they were acting like kind of cool girls who are like, the vibe was like, you'd be lucky to join us. We think they were kind of just like acting like she was a loser, and it was kind of sad.
I think so too. There is a part of this that is breaking from even the reality television format, and I just feel like no one is accepting Gertie as a full-time cast member and treating her well for whatever reason they have. I feel like in the off season, Gertie lost touch with everyone except Julia, and then when Julia cut her off from that conversation about the birth announcement, she felt completely isolated, and her only even sort of allies are Adriana by default, because Adriana does not like Julia, and then Lisa, who can kind of be allies with anyone. So I don't know what it is, but I feel like Gertie has a sense that this cast is not wanting to associate with her much longer, and like you feel that Bravo might be making the cut on her next season or something. So part of the rationale, I think, for her trying to make up with Julia is so that she can like get back in everybody's good graces.
Yeah. In the clip for next week, it looks like her and Julia like kiss on the trip. So I'm like, she's really throwing all the balls to the wall to make it work.
Yeah. And I really wish for Gertie, I'm not blaming this on Gertie, but I do obviously wish that she got more grace for 2 or 3 episodes or weeks from this cast for what Julia did. Because the narrative got a little cloudy once she read the text messages, and everyone tried to play that up like that was the most despicable thing they've ever seen. And Julia's splashing got thrown by the wayside. And then Gertie was kind of left to be like, oh, they consider what I did as morally wrong as that, so now I have to apologize, which I don't think Gertie should have to do. So I kind of feel like it was just an unfortunate circumstances that led to this position for Gertie in a way.
Right. Yeah. Also, this was like not that important, but the episode opened with Adriana taking her dog to what appeared to just be doggy daycare, but she kept implying that she was bringing the dog there to have sex one final time before he got spayed. Yeah. And I was like, that's not a thing. Yeah. And I was like, I bet that business would prefer that you don't imply that they offer that service.
well, when you watch it, if you watch it again, they do blur out all signage for that place because they don't want to let everyone know that their doggy daycare is just a place where your dogs can have sex one last time. But
last trip to paradise.
Yes, but I also, just like you, did not know that this was a thing that Basquiat gets to have sex with another dog one more time. It just didn't seem like something, like you said, a business wants to be associated with in any way. Like it was kind of like she was creating a new concept that we were just supposed to accept.
I know. And I feel like whenever she was implying it, the person working there was like, that's not.
Yeah. But I will just say Bosky does end up, I couldn't believe it. I thought that it would never work, but Bosky does, like, I don't even want to say it, but he does end up having sex with that dog that was allowed to have sex with him in that arena.
Maybe it wasn't a full penetration.
Oh, did it? Oh, it kind of, I was kind of looking away, but it was, I thought that Bosky was kind of, maybe, I don't know, but yeah.
My parents' dog Cooper would get in trouble at I don't remember if it was Petco or PetSmart doggy daycare, but he would get citationed for humping all the time. Yeah.
Really? So the opposite sort of the experience that Adriana had with her sex dog.
Yeah, she was encouraging it.
Yeah. Well, what if you don't mind me asking, if it's not too painful, what kind of what were the citations, just written warnings, and if you got enough of them?
It was like he would get like time out, and then like when they would pick him up, they'd be like, he got in trouble again today. Like he's annoying.
So okay, so he wasn't. There was never a threat of like he can't come back until he's less horny.
He was never banished. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's wow. All right. Well, I mean, good to know, I guess, for me for future reference. Um, and then I want to say, moving from the main conflict of the episode, I wanted to note that, well, we already kind of discussed this a little bit, but Julia and Marisol really. It's like they got a script and they were able to look at it for maybe 5 seconds before the cameras got on them, because
Yeah.
it's the least organic way I've ever seen two people justify a trip. And again, for me personally, they say Seville, Spain, or Sevilla. We
Yeah.
gotta go there. We all have such an affinity for Spain. I think it'd be perfect to take Alexia so she can get away from Todd. But the problem with that is Alexia is not accepting that narrative. So it's like there's two parallel versions of what is happening on this show, where Alexia says, I love Todd more than ever. He's a Greek god. I want to marry him still. He's not a narcissist. And then you have the cast members, Marisol, her best friend, saying the entire reason for this trip is to get her away from Todd. And they even lose that presumption in the moment, because when they call Alexia, she goes, by the way, I got to get back. It's Todd's big blowout birthday, and I want to celebrate the shit out of him. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh God, Alexia, did you have to say that on the phone? That completely undercuts what we're trying to sell here in
Right.
this scene between each other.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. Oh, there was also, I feel like, because I think after this, it's really just the preppy party, but there's a double date dinner of Stephanie and Masood and Martina and Julia. And the main takeaway is that, because Stephanie brings up her feud with her twin sisters, and then Julia goes, well, we're going through something similar. Our adult daughters aren't talking to us right now, and they haven't met our young sons.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, what?
Oh my God, yeah. Yes, no, that was probably the biggest revelation you could hear. And the fact that it's taken 9 episodes for Julia to not bring up the biggest thing emotionally that is happening in her life over this cruise shit that we've had to suffer through. Like, why would you not have talked about that? I mean, that you have to ask so many questions about that. And it does sound like Martina and Julia did not give enough warning and discuss the idea that they were adopting 2 children with their older daughter, so they have completely cut them off. And like, you can tell, I mean, obviously that is probably one of the worst things that Julia can go through as a parent. So yeah, huge. I mean,
I wonder if it was like something she was trying to avoid talking about because it's like too dark, or she didn't want like them to get even more pissed because she talked about it.
I think it's possible that was not the story that she wanted to tell, and she much preferred Gertie drama than real emotional stuff that's going on about the sort of decisions that her and Martina made with adopting those kids. So I hope that we get to learn more about that, because I'm extremely interested what she will try to do to sort of get her daughters back in her life at this point, because Martina says life is precious and this time is precious, and they might regret the time that they're not getting with their adopted brothers, who might be in their will be in their lives for the rest of the adult children's lives.
Right. Yeah. No, I was like, I think Martina said she's 68. So I'm like, damn, that's like, imagine having a toddler when you're like 70 years old.
I mean, I'm about to be 40 and I'm dying every day of my life. I mean, I do not understand at all the amount of energy and everything. But one thing I did like about that double date scene is Masood is very, very interested in Martina, almost as a fan. And so it actually was funny to not see cast members who don't give a shit about each other, and not like they don't care about any stories they tell, and they're not like friends for the most part, to actually see someone who's curious about another individual. And Masood is just like asking so many questions. He goes, I remember I loved your arms. You used to play and your strong arms were so vibrant. And then Martina's like, oh my God, don't get me started on my arms. Julia fell in love with me because of my arms. And there was questions about her possibly, training the kids, and being their coach or whatever. And it was just fun to watch someone who's legitimately interested in another cast member or significant other talk on the show.
She's finally on the show a little more, but I feel like historically the whole time she's been kind of flying under the radar for the most part, and like hasn't really talked about herself. So I was like, yeah, I'll hear more about the tennis days. And she was saying that she would still play if she could, but she doesn't miss the stress.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And then there was preppy party. It's an excuse for an all cast, very much akin to Gina setting up the same thing at her house for a supposed housewarming. It's just to get everybody together. The dress is preppy. How did you think everybody did?
I liked how Larsa was like, I dress slutty. I don't dress preppy. Like, Stephanie and Marisol dress like my grandma. Like, I
Yeah.
love to her anything that's not like bearing all is like granny.
Yeah, totally. I thought everybody did great. I give special points to Adriana for the Harvard sweatshirt just because of what she ultimately
Yeah.
reveals about her relationship to Harvard. But I thought everybody did well, except a couple notable exceptions, which I won't name.
Lisa.
And then I gotta say the overall feeling of this preppy party, kind of like the haunted dinner, is I think they all feel like we are getting to our wits' end for this random drama and it's time to come together again. So I would say 90% of this is resolutions happening. The main one obviously was Gertie and Julia, which I already talked about. But then right when Adriana arrives, she comes hat in hand and says, Marisol, I got upset from you saying you didn't want to be on a yacht with me. I apologize for calling you wrinkly, wrinkly knees. And then Marisol goes, I feel like you're poking at me constantly, and I just need a little bit of a break. There's a lot of stuff going on in this friend group, and you and I should just be united to try to like fix other people's problems. And I really liked that. It's like a truce among OGs, which I
Yeah.
valued.
Yeah, totally. They kept it moving. It took like 1 minute and they were like, agree to not be one of the problems on this trip. And they like hug it out. I was like, great.
Yeah. And then you do you want to talk about the sort of Stephanie aspect? Because then Stephanie and Alexia go into the room together, and we find out that Stephanie has this like game to play with everyone where she is using that there's 3 seats to go to Sevilla.
Yeah.
And she can only give it to the best people on the cast who she loves the most. So
Right.
when her and Alexia kind of simmer down their feud, she goes, guess what? Marisol won't go with me on the plane without you. And then I filled up her seat. But now will you go on this plane with me, Alexia? And Alexia, I think her first fun moment for me in the conflict arena was she goes, what the fuck is Stephanie talking about? She was just arguing with me and screaming about being a Chihuahua versus a Rottweiler.
Right.
And then now she just offered me the golden ticket, the last golden ticket on this plane that Marisol refused. And she goes, I'm standing in solidarity with Marisol, who didn't want to go on with me. And so it kind of left Stephanie to be like to have no power over the group. She lost the A team that she wanted and then had to just get Adriana to fill that seat eventually. And also I think that Alexia properly called Stephanie's intention by trying to get the A squad on that jet and then getting it refused.
Right. I was like, for a second, I was like, well, the reason that Marisol didn't ditch you and take the plane is because she feels bad for you and the trip is for you. But if the trip is for you, then you're allowed to go on the jet.
Totally. But I think it was like an offer that Alexia wanted to refuse to show that Stephanie does not have power over her.
Exactly.
But yeah, I
Which
was a
was
little
smart.
It was smart. It was very smart because then it kind of backfires on Stephanie and she ends up having no power. And she has Adriana, who I don't think she gives a shit about
I
on
know.
the
I
jet.
love when it like cut to everyone of like the options of who it could be. And Lisa's like very interested in what is the question at hand. And Marisol's like, I don't think Mucky's making the manifest, because it shows the clip of her being like, I love friends with jets. Like, I want to know rich people with jets. And it's like, she's never going to invite you.
Yeah, and Stephanie does make them work for it a little bit in the moment, a little bit too game show-esque for me. She does sort of is like, well, Kiki, I love. But
Yeah.
then Adriana, I don't know. And then Kiki goes, I don't want it. Give it to Adriana, which I think is not what Stephanie wanted it at all. So even though I don't know what Stephanie's motivation was, I think she was using it as leverage to become allies with the center mojito holders. I like what it led to, because then Stephanie goes, Alexia refused my jet because Marisol and her are too close and they love each other too much. And then Alexia, so sweet, she starts crying in front of the entire table. And everybody goes, why is Alexia crying? And Adriana goes, it's because her and Marisol's friendship is so beautiful. And I wish that Julia would have done what they did together on the jet, because Julia said, I want to be on that jet immediately, and didn't give a fuck if I was on the jet. And so Adriana, I think 100% genuinely does value and appreciate this beautiful, loyal alliance that Marisol and Alexia have, which I get annoyed by. But when you see it in this context, them crying over each other and holding each other and Adriana commenting on it, I thought it was beautiful.
Right. Yeah, she goes, supposedly my closest friend is on the jet and she didn't care like how I got there.
Yeah. And then Julia is taken aback, and it undercuts this emotion by bringing real drama that I think is fertile, that they need to discuss more, and puts that moment in front of the group again. And then Adriana juxtaposes that with this beautiful alliance between them. And then Adriana goes, Marisol, she's like, because they're in a good place now. She's like, that is beautiful that you didn't want to go, without Alexia on the private jet. And so it's kind of like they end this episode with kind of a sweet moment between them as a group, just like the OC moment at the Honda dinner in a way.
Right. Yeah. It was funny in that I did see like a part of the intro of the Las Culturistas thing, and they were joking about how it's hard to gauge sometimes the politics of housewives, and they're like, their kid is gay and they like go to Pride, but then they have a private jet, and they were like, but I guess it doesn't matter because they're funny. And I was like, that is always where it nets out usually.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that sentiment completely. So how'd you feel about Miami once we talked about it? You think it's still in this sort of dog shit dregs, or do you think it's getting a little bit more fun?
I'll hold out hope for what Spain has to offer. I wonder how much action I feel like they need to film on the PJ. But I don't know how that'll work on such a long leg. Like, I don't know if it'll be like iPhone footage or whatever, but I want to see Adriana on the PJ.
Me too. I hope they do film a little. They will, because I think they already filmed a little bit of footage. Well, I guess maybe while it was grounded or whatever on her jet as her introduction. But yeah, we'll see. I want to get a little peek into that. And I think that this trip will buoy the cast. There's a lot of fun shit, and it'll be fun to just see Spain and everything. So I think we're in for a few good episodes, and I'm enjoying Miami. I really am, more than OC at this point. So I think that's it. I think you and I have done justice to the Turtle Time mission in every way. 30 minutes of news, which I think that's news that's going to stand the test of time. A recap of OC, a recap of Miami. And then now I think there's nothing else to do but close the episode completely. What do you think?
Shut her down.
Let's shut her down. There's a couple edits that Amy, you and I will make. There's a couple, moments in here where we didn't know what the hell was going on, but we'll edit that. You won't even know that happened. Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. And then
God forbid we edit our show.
I know. I'm like, God, we got to make 2 edits. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think that OC and Miami are still providing merit to me, and it's fun to discuss them, even if sometimes they give us complete duds. So hopefully it's fun to listen to. But we have a Patreon that's $5 a month that you can listen to if you need more Turtle Time. I'm sure everyone who's listening has heard this before, but maybe if you got a big, huge dump truck of cash for some reason and you want to spend $5 a month on Turtle Time, you could have access to over 110 episodes of our Vanderpump Rules recap series. And then if you love Turtle Time, give us one of those beautiful Apple reviews that we covet.
Yes, please.
All right. Anything else, Amy, before we shut her down?
I'm ready to shut her down.
Let's shut her down. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.